5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to The Bigger Picture with me, Nick, and my co-host, Sid. How are you, Sid?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. I was looking forward to this show. Actually, we switched topics around a little bit. We got a big backlog with topics that we want to discuss. But
Yeah.
Mars was one of them, right?
Yeah.
And we covered a little bit of Mars when we talked about remote viewing with Joe McMoneagle. And
Yes, we did. Yeah.
And that was a super cool show. I'll also link that one below. But we're going to do a little bit of a recap, sort of to get the show started. And it will be a really nice one. So here we go. The first clip.
Very large people. They appear thin and tall, but they're very large, wearing some kind of strange clothes.
And I said, they're human people. They're like us, identical to us, only they're much bigger.
How big?
10 feet tall, 12 feet tall, that kind of thing. And I drew a person next to a bigger person.
Large people, thin and tall, wearing strange clothes, skin tight, very tight, almost can't see them.
When I found out the target was Mars, I thought about it a long time, and I thought, I have to get the pictures. I have to see whether or not what I described is real or not real.
Right.
So somebody told me, I remember that night somebody said the targets came from JPL or something, Jet Propulsion Laboratory. And I said, no, these were an interest to the government. Maybe JPL gave them pictures, I don't know. But I said, next time I'm in California, I'm going to JPL and get my own copies of the pictures. That's the kind of guy I am.
Of the coordinates.
Yeah, and my feeling was, hey, my taxes take these pictures, so they're going to give them to me or explain why not. So I had the actual card the coordinates were written on. So I drove over to JPL and I went in the room where they have all the photographs and stuff. And he said, how can I help you, the guy at the desk? I said, I'm looking for pictures of these coordinates and I want copies of the original negatives. And he just looked at the card and he said, oh, that's the old city on Mars. And he turned around and pulled the drawer open and gave me a packet. That's how hard it was.
So that was the intro recap.
Yeah.
You saw also us in the previous show. I think it was like 5 or 6 shows again. When I still was out of my home, living my nomadic life. But so this show will be about Mars, and I called it Mars, the Red Planet ? Because this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you have some opening remarks before I'll jump to the next.
No, so before we go into detail regarding Joe McMoneagle whole remote viewing, I was watching the interview of Sean Ryan with Edwin C. May, who was in charge of the whole Star Wars program. Not the Star Wars. What was the program? Stargate program. Yeah. So he said he definitely believe in remote viewing, but this particular one where Joe McMoneagle was visiting Mars in past, he said, I don't believe that one. The reason he said, because I cannot verify it.
Oh yeah.
That's why I don't believe it. But yeah, he was like, he is a believer of remote viewing, but he said he only believe on the things which he can verify. The things which he cannot verify is useless for him.
He's like a Bitcoiner, right?
Yeah.
No, but it makes sense, right? Because it's very intangible, and if you can't verify what you remote viewed, then you have no idea if it's
exactly.
correct or not, right? So that's actually how they train themselves. And Joe McMoneagle was one of the best.
Yeah, he was. And to be honest, I think we can verify it. We just need more time and more archaeological digs on Mars, especially after the photos that came out of Mars is just saying something. So we can verify it in the future.
Yeah, and we're gonna play one or two more clips also from that previous episode. But before we do that, we're gonna look at the atmosphere of Mars, because
Yes.
it is really a red planet. That's a really good question.
Oh, is it really a red planet? Exactly. We'll talk about that. Let's go.
Here we go.
We have China. Now we have NASA. This is the real color of Mars. And not a minute later, let's call it even 2 minutes. Who cares, right? The point is, not long after this original, you can hear the people talking amongst themselves. And we talked about this in the live feed, right? Where they're going, oh, wow, look, Mars is blue. Look at the sky, it's blue. You can hear the people talking amongst themselves. Not long after that, boom. All of a sudden, everything's red. Okay? Now, this is India's photo. And of course, on the left was the original. And of course, was enhanced through Photoshop. Now, is it possible that Photoshop has an algorithm to automatically make it this color? But keep in mind, this is 3 different countries using their photos. But look at them. Look at the difference in them. Look at the blue atmosphere. This one here. Again, look at the insignias as well. Lower right corner. This one here just got darker on the right. Darker blue, darker orange. But look at the difference in Mars. Doesn't make any sense. Look at the difference. Here's another photo from India where this is taken from the MOM satellite. And of course, so wasn't this one as well. All right. And I forget what the acronym for MOM is. I believe it's Mars Orbiter Mission. But you can see that there's really no difference in the insignia other than being darker. It doesn't change to pink. The blue doesn't change to like violet or some weird color. It just gets darker. Yet look at the difference again in Mars. It doesn't make sense. But it does. Because we actually know that it has an atmosphere on this planet and that it has different colors just like here on Earth. Now, does it have any oceans and does it have a true atmosphere like Earth? Absolutely not. Now, between our atmosphere and our oceans, this is the reason why we look like the pale blue dot from a distance. Mars, on the other hand, could have water, but very scarce and maybe in small lakes, and you see a lot more ground. And of course, you do have these storms kicking up this dust and whatnot, and it'll cover the planet. That's a given. We know that. We've seen photos. Just listen, folks. Just go to Google and Google Hubble telescope photos of Mars. And you'll see, like, they break it down. Some of these will break it down from every month during the year. And you can see the caps getting bigger in the colder months and shrinking in the warmer months, just like here on Earth. This is 3 different countries. This is India. I said, this is India. We've got NASA right here. This was the very first photo taken by lander. And then, of course, minutes later, this is what it looks like. And, of course, we have this original photo from China.
So this is from Mars Anomalies and Beyond. It's a really cool show that he has, a really cool channel. But I really like this video because it's purely focused on the atmosphere of Mars, and he uses 3 different sets of pictures from the 3 different countries. And as with the other people that we're gonna sort of talk about, he always links all the original pictures in his description box, and we'll also link his show down below this one so that you can check it out. But he's sort of like a photo expert, so he knows sort of how photos can be manipulated, and he sort of knows the tricks. And one of the things that NASA and China and India and all the others do is they put a red filter over the pictures of Mars.
No, also there is also a thing that back in the day they were capturing black and white photos. They had like a black and white camera, so in order to make it color they were applying this filter which make it look like color, but basically it was a sepia type of filter, and that makes everything look orange. But I think with new technology we are getting the real picture of that. Oh, by the way, in Photoshop there's like a color correction
Yeah,
option.
yeah,
So, so it's just like a one dropper. When you use that, you'll get the real color out of that. I've
yeah.
tried it myself. You get like the normal Earth looking like planet.
Yeah, he actually goes through the video. He shows all the steps that he takes in order to get the original, from the original photo to like the photo that you see in the picture.
Mhm.
How you can do that yourself using, something like Photoshop, like you say. And then he also links back to the original, so you can check it out and do it yourself and see, what you come up with, which is probably exactly the same thing. So then the question is, why do they do that, right? Why do they put a filter over it?
Yeah, I think it's more like somebody did that initially and then they just made it like a thing in their SOPs, and that's what they're continuing to do.
But
I don't
I think it also does two other things, right? First of all, it hides stuff from us because humans perceive most detail in the green filter, and in
Yeah.
the red filter it hides a lot of details from us.
Hmm.
And the second thing, which is probably even more important, is it becomes very boring, right? I mean, a red
No,
planet.
man. I think it makes it more interesting. To be honest, my personal opinion, when I was looking at Mars photo, the orange one, I was so excited. But the moment they turned it into blue, I was like, yeah, it's another
Oh,
planet. Not interested at all. Personally, I like Dune kind of worlds, like Mad Max kind of world where everything is just like destroyed. And I like that kind of world. So for me, orange planet is more interesting than the blue planet.
it makes it a little bit more magical. Yeah,
Yeah, different. It looks different, right? Because like if Mars look exactly like Earth, that's like no difference. So if
true.
it's orange view, everything is orange. It's like, yeah, it gives like you are in a different planet.
But it is more orangey, of course,
It
than
is, yeah.
yeah, it is definitely more orangey.
I
That's why.
don't even think that. I just think it is exactly like Earth because I've seen so many photos when they color corrected it. It looks like the white day of
Yeah,
summer where everything looked dull.
yeah.
It's like that. There's nothing orange in there. They are just putting that filter to make it look interesting, I guess. But
But
eventually, yeah,
and I think there's a third reason, which I forgot. There's actually three reasons, and the third one is actually the most important of all. Right? If it's actually Earth-like, then it changes the whole narrative, right? Because right now it's supposedly it's uninhabitable, it's very inhumane, it needs to be transformed, and people can't go there, and people also have no will to go there except for Elon Musk. But if it's Earth-like, people might actually think, oh wait, Earth, life might have sprung from Mars. We might go there. There might be water there, which there is, right? I
yeah,
remember in the beginning, like 10 years ago or 20 years, no, I think 10 years ago, they claimed there was no water. Also on the moon, there was no water.
yeah,
And then bit by bit, they start saying, oh, hey, look, that looks a little bit like water. And now it's like a given that there is water and ice, um, and all kinds of other stuff, and life, right? We're also going to dive into all those things.
yeah.
Um, but if you put like an orange filter over it, uh, you can,
They definitely have water. Everybody knows that now.
yeah.
Because of the ice. We can even see the ice on the polar cap. So it's not even that big of a deal. I think the problem is the atmosphere because even though it's very Earth like, still you cannot breathe
Yeah,
as per the data. But I don't know how good their data is. Maybe they are faking the data too. Maybe it is very livable.
yeah. I wouldn't be surprised, right? Because if
Yeah.
they lie about this kind of stuff, who knows what else they lie about? And this is, for example, another video from Antov Petrov, who also has a really cool channel, by the way,
Hmm.
which is about ice.
Olympus Mons, the largest volcano, and a few other volcanoes basically contained presence of this unusual frost that was very likely water-based in nature and potentially represented approximately 150,000 tons of water basically being deposited as tiny ice particles, with all of this also happening pretty much every day, suggesting that this is an active cycle. But unlike frost on planet Earth, here it's believed to be extremely thin, possibly only one.
Yeah, so he goes on and on. But also a very interesting show that he has. And and in this case, he talks about ice, but he also talks about another couple of other things, an atmosphere, and he is very much based on science, like what NASA puts out. He talks about chemistry, lava tubes, and all kinds of other stuff. But he proceeds and approaches it from a very scientific background, and he stays very close to the facts, and doesn't go on wild speculations as we do. So it's a very cool channel to follow as well. But Joe McMoneagle, he also talks about giants, of course, about people living in pyramids, or basically being in stasis in giant pyramids, waiting for something. Basically, in his remote viewing, he saw a segment of their colony going somewhere else, and apparently, these people in stasis are waiting for their return. Or whatever. It was a really crazy remote viewing. Also link that one down below. It's from Ramses Area 52. They actually did some new documentary, so go there and check it out. We're gonna go. We can go many different ways, right? We have ancient structures. We got giants.
We can actually start by looking at the photos I sent you. Remember, like the thread of 12 photos.
Yeah.
We'll go one by one, because like the very first photo is very interesting. I see some serious details in there. I'll tell you what I see in there.
Yeah, but I got a treat for you on that one also. But okay, let's go to the photos first. Let's do that. So this is a thread on X. I think you can see it right now, right? Yeah.
So enlarge the photo. So first of all, they are saying this is a natural formation. There is no way that's a natural. That looks like an entrance. And it's like a cemented entrance to me. And if you can go even closer, I see a drawing of a gray alien in there.
Okay. I'm not sure if I can.
I should have marked that. Anyway, just at the darker area, do you see something like a cave painting of an alien?
I see something. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, there's in the shadows there is.
Yeah. If you can move the mouse over that area, so people can see where. Yeah.
You mean here?
This
right?
picture is not correct, but if on our screen it might not be visible properly. But if you look at the photo and you zoom in very clear in that area, you can see there is something in the shadows that looks like a gray alien. I'm not saying it's a gray alien. I think it probably a shadow, but it looks like a painting of a gray alien.
But before we go on to the next picture, because I got a treat for you, because you picked out this picture, and like I said, there are a couple of channels online which I used to follow a lot, and one of my favorite ones was ARTALIENTV, and I used to watch that before going to sleep, because then you can sort of watch pictures and you have to look very intently, and then you fall asleep. Which is a nice way to train your eyes, but also you see really crazy cool stuff. And I'm gonna show you a clip, and this is his reaction to the mainstream media about the doorway, and also NASA's response, because NASA said, like, it's not the doorway, it's pareidolia. You know what they always say.
It's not pareidolia at all.
Trick of the mind or trick of your eyes. Okay. Yeah. But look at this.
5 inches, 10 inches, or 10 feet, doesn't matter. A doorway is a doorway, okay? And you cannot take away this symmetry by saying it's not a doorway. That symmetry is still there, and the explanations they're giving do not fit. They're saying that the rock just cracked and the part fell out, okay? But that's what a lot of the articles say. But where is that? There should be a perfectly smooth rock, if that's the case, with weathering only on one side of it. There should be one in the area. There isn't. when you look at the area, there are no rocks that don't have weathering on them. And if a rock just fell out of that, there should be one with smooth edges like we have on the inside, right? It would have one edge here, the front edge would be pitted and eroded like this, but the inner sides would be smooth, right? Like we have on the doorway, in the doorway. But we don't have any rocks like that here. So that theory doesn't hold any water. And if we look at Rami's version
They're
here,
really cool.
you can still see it looks artificial from this side, okay? This bit looks very straight, and we've got that straight piece at the top there, okay? And you can see that the actual door height is there, right? And then it comes down, which I didn't point out in the first video, but there we are. So it looks like a door.
Oh,
It
yeah.
probably is, because we have loads of other things in the area, which I'm about to show some of now, that say that this is
Pause it for a second.
a part of my...
Go back. Do you see the page drawing in there? If you go back to the previous image, look
mean
at look at the painting over there of Grey Alien. Do you see it?
Yeah, you can see there's definitely something
See,
inside.
there is a head. There's like a small body and a head. It's
You
like
mean
a
here?
cave. Yeah, this one.
Yeah, that could be. I it's just hard to tell. I mean, I wouldn't.
Looks like. I'm not saying it is, but it looks
Yeah.
like that.
If I was in a casino, I wouldn't put any money on it. But it could be. It could be a drawing. Yeah, but it's definitely artificial, right? I mean, you have
Yeah.
to be completely blind or
Yeah.
blinded by the science to not believe that this is not natural. Right? This is completely not natural. It's completely
Yeah, the address is
artificial.
completely like there is no way.
There's no way in hell that this is natural.
Yeah.
I would go to a casino and put money on that, right? I know.
Also, if there's like life on Mars, it must be subterranean.
Yep.
And I think that's the entrance to the center of the Mars.
Yeah, and there's definitely water underground. I mean
Yeah.
that's very clear from a lot of
That's very
evidence.
clear, yeah.
There's also water at the surface, sometimes in moving mud streams, but they also found, I think, in some cases, actual water. I haven't found clips because there was too much stuff, and I usually don't have enough time. But and there's ice, of course. We already established that. But yeah, they live underground. They need to live underground.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Or they lived underground. Maybe they are dead. Maybe they they are not here anymore. But even if a civilization or the planet is dead, they leave some remnant, and I think this is one of them.
Yeah, but I love ARTALIENTV. He's my favorite. Second is Mars Beyond. He's also super cool. I'll link both of them below. But we got a ton of stuff. Do you want to first go back to the pictures that you?
Yeah. Let's
Okay,
go.
let's first go back, and then I'll show you some other cool stuff. There we go. So that's the doorway, which is a doorway.
Yeah.
Then we have this one, a bone.
Yeah. So many natural formation, right?
Well, it could also be like a
It could be a natural formation, by the way.
Yeah.
But I don't think so. But it is possible. It's not like impossible like the first one, which is the doorway. That is impossible. That I don't think that can be a natural formation.
But this
Anyway,
does look a lot like a bone. Absolutely.
it looks exactly like a bone.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there is a possibility a rock can form in that way.
Yeah.
Because rock take a lot of different formations. So it's not impossible like the first one, but yeah, it looks exactly like the.
But then we have this one, the spikes.
Yeah, this one looks like a giant serpent, right? Carcass of the giant serpent.
Yeah, but it doesn't look natural, right? Because you got the spikes up here. These are really pointy spikes, like long pointy spikes. And then these ones are maybe these at the bottom. You could argue, might be natural in some way. I don't know if that's possible, but perhaps. But the ones at the top, these are
Yeah.
not natural, and they're all over the place. Like you got them
And
over
they're really
here,
big. You can see it
here.
from the shadows. Like they're not like a small.
No, look here.
Yeah.
Look.
They are really big.
And here you have the but it's all over the place. Like you got fragments here,
Yeah.
and here, and here, and here, and here, and here.
Yeah, and weird is like there are like the things which look exactly the same, three of them. They have the specs and everything else look like a rock.
Yep. Yeah. So this
Maybe
is
at the back there is one more. Maybe it's this fragment of the same thing. But other than that, it's like smooth rocks.
here.
Yeah.
I agree. So
Let's
that's
go to
definitely not natural.
yeah.
And
Let's
then
go
we
to
have another door. I think this. Yeah, it's the
yeah,
small
that's the
door.
same door. It's the same door. No, it's the same door, I
Yeah.
guess. Just from a different angle.
But I mean, it's the same door, but from a different angle,
Yeah.
slightly. But it's a small door. It's about a feet tall, I think.
No, I think it's bigger than that.
Yeah, but it was not a really big door. And this one is famous, of course, the face. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see this part is in shadows, and here you can see clearly an eye
Yeah.
and a nose and a mouth. And this is a statue, probably.
It's probably a statue, yeah, exactly.
But it's not natural.
It doesn't look natural at all. Especially the everything around it. Look at all other rocks, how smooth they are.
Yeah. This also. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, here's a inzoom. This one is zoomed in.
Yeah, see, there is like clear eye, a nose, and everything.
Yep.
Let's see.
Yeah.
This one, I'm not sure. Is this possible if it's natural?
It could be. I'm not a
Like
geologist.
a giant hurricane threw a big rock on the top of the mountain or something.
Could be.
Could be anything. Yeah.
It's 50-50.
Yeah.
This one I'm also not sure about. Some say it's a giant fish, but
It's just like a rock.
I think it's maybe if you enhance it, but
It's a rock.
From this perspective, it's hard to say. Yeah. Looks like this one is famous, of course. The squid-like thingy on the rock.
Yeah, that doesn't look natural at all. It's like a crab, squid, crab, something like that.
Yeah, it looked like an alien. Remember?
Yeah, it's like a crab. Yeah.
The face hugger.
Yeah.
It's not natural. And this one, I have no idea what's this. Mushroom-shaped rock. This.
Let's see.
Not really.
Nah, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just.
Let's skip that one. And then this one has a hole in it.
Yeah, this is different. This looks like a crash UFO.
I'm not sure about that, but it is, it's strange that it's hollow, right?
Yeah.
That's weird. That shouldn't be possible. But who knows? Maybe it is. And this looks like coral. This is really strange.
This is, it's a good formation. It could be a rock.
I doubt it. It looks like
because
coral.
you know why? Because coral, they don't stand alone. They stand with a lot of them. So there must be a lot of them. If just one, there is a possibility that some weird. But there's a weird lines of patterns around it. It's like tire tracks or something.
Yeah, and then maybe it's probably very old, and maybe the other one's pulverized or something.
Yeah.
But it's not. It doesn't seem very natural to me.
Yeah.
Or well, it seems natural, but not a rock. Let me put it like that. Yeah, it's hard to say.
I have no idea. What's the next picture of it? Is there another picture of it?
They say. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's the statue in Afghanistan of Buddha, the Taliban destroyed.
Yeah.
That's exactly like that, except the alien face.
Yeah, alien elongated skull.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hewn
It
out,
could be like a sarcophagus.
but it's really big.
It's really big. It's like really big.
And here you see the nose. It's from a different angle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely not natural. The doorway again. Let's see. More doorway. Okay, yeah, that's a.
I
that's
think the
about it.
thread is ended.
Yeah. So these are really cool.
Yeah. Did you
but
see that rat on Mars?
the red
Yeah.
in the pictures?
Yeah.
Not much red.
I'm just gonna send you.
Wait. Okay, so let's just jump into the.
Okay, if you just open this.
Okay. I'm gonna open it. Yeah. There we go. Too grossed out by red-shaped rock on Mars to bother discovering alien life. Yeah, that one. It's like a rodent. Yeah, some kind of rodent.
Yeah, it's a rodent. It's like I don't. You know what? What's the real conspiracy? I think it's a lemming or something. So
Yeah.
they are found specifically in one region in Canada and some other region as well. And in the same
Oh,
region, they
yeah.
were doing the practice of rover.
Yeah.
So there is a possibility that they try to fake that they are on the Mars of that area's photo, and then this thing they they captured this rodent in there,
Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
photo got mixed or something. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's not a rock at all. That's clearly something alive.
But I got some cool stuff. Okay, so
Okay.
we've gone through these. Let's go
Yeah.
to the next one. So I got this one. This is from ARTALIENTV, by the way. So does this look natural to you?
Not at all.
This is. I think this is not even enhanced, but it's some. I think he called it an like bone structure, but I think it doesn't look like a bone structure. It looks more mechanical to
No,
me, actually.
it looks something way different than a bone structure. If they say it's a bone, I won't believe that. That's not a bone.
No, I think it's also not a bone. Well, this one is one of my favorites, actually. The giant skull. I
Is
got
that real?
Uh-huh.
It looks. Are you? Where's the original photo? Where did they capture it?
Wait, I'm gonna go to that one because that's actually my favorite, my all-time favorite.
Yeah, I didn't even know about that. This is the first time I'm looking at that bone skull or whatever.
And it's huge. It's frigging huge. It's like 10 times. I think more than 10 times a human skull.
Oh wow! No, it looks very real, like a skull.
Very strange. This thing is also about between 18 and 24 inches. It's about 20, like the other one on Mars I showed you a minute ago. And you've got very good teeth detail here. This isn't mummified. This is an actual fossil. And you've got an upturned nasal cavity there, which is the complete opposite way around to a human one. So it's not human. So people can't say this is on Devon Island or somewhere like that because this isn't human, all right? They don't have aliens on Devon Island. Jesus. So yeah, there we are. I worked all this stuff out using a calculator and everything. So the sizes are all accurate here that I'm giving you. Okay, assuming that the scales were given by NASA and the European Space Agency are accurate, and I think they are pretty accurate. No reason why they should not be. These things can be worked out. So there we have it. I'll put links to all these things.
But the nice thing is this video is actually about. So that one was on Mars, the big one that you just saw, which is my favorite. But this is actually about asteroid Bennu.
Oh, that's Bennu. That's cool.
And because he also talks about the moon and about Mars, but also sometimes about asteroids and Ceres, Ceres. Sorry, commercial, of course. I'll take this one away. But
That skull look like, have you seen that cartoons, a He-Man cartoon? They have a Skeletor.
oh yeah.
That looks like that skull on the Mars.
True. But that one is small. So that one was 30 feet, right? That skull.
Oh, that was 30 feet. Wow.
But this one
That's
is
pretty
bigger.
big, yeah.
So this one is from the asteroid itself.
Nose, as I just drew around there, comes like that. Comes up to there. Okay, we got this eye here. Eye socket coming round like that, and here. And that eye there is pretty clear, and you can actually see the two eyelids, upper and lower, with the sort of join in between there. That's an eye, okay? That's what happens with mummification. The eyelids the eyes shrivel up and dry out, and the eyelids are left and they kind of stick together like that. That's perfectly normal sort of for a mummy, okay? But of course, there is one major problem with this, and I haven't told you this yet for this very reason. The major problem with this is the size of it. This is a little bit bigger than a human, and in fact, from top to bottom, this is 9.5 meters, okay? 9.5 meters. Now, what's 9.5 meters in feet? Well, I worked that out already. The Bennu skull, this thing here, is 9.5 meters wide. Now, that's the width, okay? Because this has been rotated. That's 31.1 feet from the chin to the top there, okay? That's the size of a bus, okay? And wider than a bus. If this was a bus, the bus would be this big, okay? Because buses aren't that sort of wide, okay? This thing is massive, over 30 feet. And how do I know that? Well, because if you go on the page, it actually tells you. If you go to the page here, hang on, where is it? It actually gives you a scale when you go to the image. Hang on, it should say actually here. I've highlighted it here. There we are. Light coloured boulder on the upper right of the image is 31 feet, 9.5 meters wide, which is about the length of a city bus.
Wow, that's insane, right?
Yeah, but I think this is where he's seeing stuff. Until he draw the eyes and the nose, I didn't even see it. I just saw a rock, and I've seen a lot of boulders in my life. Like, I've traveled a lot
Well,
of those areas. So, and also it's on as asteroid Bennu, right? Which is very small thing. So a giant head on that, and just a head, which is, I'm saying, I'm not convinced on this one. I think he's seeing it, but it could be anything.
yeah, well, I mean, he can be mistaken, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's perfect. That's also something that he says himself, right? He calls the community, because it's basically a community of people who send each other pictures and point things out, like space detectives.
Yeah.
And he says, like, pareidolia is a real thing, and you can be mistaken. And sometimes he is mistaken, and then he also says, like, I was mistaken, or I'm not sure, or whatever. But I think once you look at this video completely, I think you might change your mind. But yeah, who knows, right?
Yeah. No, with other things, in some things I'm convinced, something I'm not. This is the one I'm not sure, because, like, I take a lot of photos. That's my that's my thing, my job. So, and I take a lot of photos of nature as well. So sometimes I take the angle of the area where a normal rock look like a face on the photo, but when you go on a different angle, you see it's just a rock. So this can happen. It's not like the face on Mars. Face on Mars was a total different thing on
True.
Sido. This one, yeah, because of the angle and stuff, all the curves on it, and all other
No,
rocks are like that too.
I agree. This one is a little bit more tricky than the big skull thingy, which
Yeah.
is clearly a
Also,
skull.
it's not on Mars. It's on Bennu, and there is no point of having 30 feet uh, face just on an asteroid.
Yeah, but he also goes into that a little bit. I forgot the whole story behind it, because it's been a while. But I got more stuff. Let's move on. Because these were the giants. Actually, the most kind of, when he sort of talks about creatures on Mars, because he has a whole segment, creatures, artifacts, and other stuff, buildings, whatever. Most of the creatures, the skulls and those kind of things, are really small. So most of the creatures that he finds on Mars, or supposed creatures, I should say, are actually very small, like a foot high or smaller. And then sometimes you got these giants that are suddenly like 10 times the human size, right? So apparently, if there are creatures, right, we don't know, or were, they are in different sizes and different shapes. But there's also plants.
Plants?
Yep.
Let's go.
Let's go to the plants. Here we go.
This is astonishing. Now this is the RGB one, which is very red. But this one, the IRB version, is much more natural looking and is much closer to the real colour. And you can see here what looks like a giant plant on the ground with branches coming out from the central area here. This is large. This isn't one of the larger ones. This is one of the smaller ones, okay? And if we go down here to the next one, we've got a whole bunch of them together. And they average in size about 200 meters across. And a lot of them seem to join up. And some are 300 meters, some are 100, some are 200. But on average, they're around 200. Now, these stains on the ground, these dark stains, are probably where carbon dioxide has frozen and left a sort of mark on the ground. Now, often these show up as black. But like I said, a lot of these images are not real colour. Now, in this one, the dark areas show up as dark kind of red colour, really dark. But in many of the images we see of Mars, they turn up as black stains. Now, I've shown a lot of these before.
And he goes on and on. And
did they tell how big it is?
Yeah, these are really big.
Don't have a trunk.
Wait.
They are literally like a parasitic growth on the ground, coming out from a central area with branches coming and radiating outwards, and often joining up to other ones like we have here. And these dark patches, according to NASA, are caused by carbon dioxide freezing, which I agree with. But I think the carbon dioxide is coming from these giant vine plants on the surface, and that's what's causing a lot of them. Now, in other areas, I have shown other areas similar to this, but not as close up. This is the closest I've ever seen these. Now, we've often seen these, and I have shown them before in videos like this. This is a video I did a year and a half ago called Mars Spider.
Well, anyway, you got giant gourds, you got giant vine plants, and these get really big, like, mind-boggling big. And actually, I got a video on that too, how crazy big they get. Is I think this one. But they're sort of like a root system across the surface, and often they're sort of underneath the dunes also.
The original image, okay? Now this is the one I've just uploaded. Now this one you can zoom right into, unlike this one, which I've marked with all these markers here. You can zoom in quite a long way with this, and it's pretty good. In fact, you can see a lot, especially if you're the ground. Like this one here. This one here actually comes up from the ground here, up to here, and then we have this very odd, there's a branch coming off here, which goes over that other one I showed you a minute ago, this one. It goes over there, or at least it appears to. It may not, it may just kind of go round that, I'm not really sure. But these so-called dunes, when you look at them, they've got spider-like legs or insect-like legs on them. I'm not saying they are insects. What I think these may be are actual plants or some kind of organic growth. They may actually be dunes, like all the other dunes in the area, but they seem to have loads of branches coming off them. Now, you do get kind of branches on dunes depending on the conditions, and Mars is quite strange, and they've got different gravity. I know all that. We all know that. It's got different air pressure, different gravity, so things can look weird. But these so-called dunes, like this one here, has branches that come round and join on and go under some of these structures. They're like arms coming out. This one comes out here, and it kind of joins onto this, then it comes off, another branch comes off here, a branch goes round and under there, then it comes round here, and then underneath here. Now, how would a dune do that? That's impossible. Even if...
These are really big. These are gigantic. These are much bigger than the ones that I showed before. I'll also link this video down below so that you can look at it at your leisure. And he draws it all out, and there's also a city in here. But this is like a very zoomed out picture. And you know, when you zoom out like this far out, this is taken by one of those telescopes, satellites. It kind of looks like dunes at first sight.
Yeah. So back in 18, like last century, not last century, 1850 something, there was like, not 1850, like late 1880s, there was this scientist called Percival Lowell who actually saw these dunes, like all these caverns, and then he come to the conclusion that there was a civilization which built irrigation system on Mars.
Yeah.
And he was convinced there was a life on Mars, but then they later on discovered that they are natural formation because of that. But yeah, as someone who don't understand geology, we don't know how these things are formed. We are just going with our guts. But then a lot of people, based on all the data, they say that yeah, they are something else. And again, this, he was like a famous guy, Percival Lowell. He was so much into this hypothesis that there are intelligent inhabitants who build all those system of irrigation in there.
No, definitely. And he also, you know, goes into buildings and canals and all that. But but it gets even crazier. What do you make of this one, for example? Because he also found boats.
Just so you can see the shape, I'll zoom back a bit. It actually looks like a lot of these things. You get too close, it doesn't get any clearer. You've got to sit back a bit from them. They're low quality photographs to start with, and they're quite heavily damaged by NASA. They're compressed down, and a lot of the information is lost. So what I've done here is to try and restore some of that information by enhancing the image and brightening some parts, like the roof here and stuff like that. So now it looks to be like a sort of cabin cruiser, like you would see in the harbour, a gym palace sort of thing that rich people would go on and get pissed and drunk, and then drive around the harbour annoying all the real yachts people who were in proper boats. So that's what it looks like to me. I could be wrong here, and it may well be that this is actually a boat, but there may be something else behind it that's kind of crashed into it or something, because there's a load of tangled stuff here, but that looks like it's above or behind the boat, but there's simply not enough detail in the image to determine what is going on there exactly. I did another enhancement.
Anyway, so
this is clearly a boat. It's not. Nobody can convince me otherwise. This one looks like a boat.
Yeah.
It could be Ashton Forbes theory, like the natural portal opened, and then this thing is transported to Mars back in the past, and then that's a remnant of it. It is possible.
Yeah, but he found a couple, and it's in the lake area. I forgot the exact areas. Like I said, I don't watch them anymore as much, and I'll link it all down below so that people can sort of see the.
Yeah, that's like a speedboat, and then there is, you know, the hieroglyphics in Egypt, there is like a
Uh-huh.
speedboat on one of them. So it
Yeah,
means it
yeah,
has something like that, and they probably have seen it. So yeah, I this one looks legit, and I can see that that's a speedboat. And then there is another thing about the past, which is hieroglyphics, that we have another evidence in that says that they know about the speedboats.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And there's of course also crashed UFOs. It wouldn't be Mars without crashed UFOs.
Exactly.
So let's go take a look at those. This one is the most clear.
Impact in this video as well. One of them's a giant meteor, but this thing isn't. It doesn't look like any meteor you ever see anywhere. It's perfectly round, it's very reflective, and it's quite large. It's 420 feet across in diameter from here to here. I've got it on Google Earth here as well for you. And you can measure it on here using the little ruler. Let's do it in feet. Okay, let's get the little ruler. Do it from there, straight across. 420, yeah, 417. It depends how you measure it. It's about 420 if you go from there to there, roughly. It really depends on how accurately you measure it. So that's how big it is. And if you can't be bothered to put the coordinates in, which will be in the description, by the way, there'll be coordinates for this. If you can't be bothered to put those in, all you have to do is type in the name of this crater or depression that's nearby on Google Mars, okay? Google.
Oh, so he goes on. But this one is, I think, clearly, it's not a meteor, because where's the impact crater, right? And it looks really strange.
Yeah,
Also the
also
color.
there are tracks of crashing, like it looks like something got dragged.
Yeah,
So it's not just like something in the middle. It looks like, if you go back and see that, there's like clearly a very long track that something was crashing and then it
yeah,
stopped.
yeah, definitely. And it has a clear saucer shape, right? This interesting morphology. But yeah, I think that's not natural at all. And I got one more, which is also pretty famous in the UFO category, and that's this one.
This is not an object that's crashed, because there isn't actually a scorch mark or a skid mark going towards it. But what these are not craters, but intelligent objects, I think, very large. Now this 2.5 miles across, and there's another one near it, just here, which is a bit smaller. These are domes, these are not craters. What we have here is an intelligent object part in a crater. Now this is a sort of cratered area here, like a craggy sort of area here, okay? And these are actually sticking up, casting a shadow. You can see the shadow here coming across to here, right? Now unfortunately a lot of this data is missing because it's been cropped, or it was taken in a long strip, and then this is more up to date, and this is probably an older photograph of the surface, which doesn't show us much at all. Very little detail here. But there is enough detail here to determine that this looks like a massive structure with a perfect circle in the middle, with a structure inside that, and this symmetrical looking teardrop shaped thing here. Now, this may not make a lot of sense to
Yeah, so that one is, I think, also very interesting, especially the thing on top of the dome, right? Because with the dome, you could perhaps still argue that it's, maybe a mount or a hill of some kind.
No, I think it looks like a metal dome. It
Yeah,
doesn't look like a mountain at all. Because
no,
mountains are usually not round.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, this is like clearly has a circle, like a round shape and a dome shape. That's a dome. Also,
yeah,
it looks metallic,
yeah,
because like if you see, compare it with everything else around it, that looks like a normal rock, and this looks like a metal disc on top, like a
yeah.
metal dome.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. But if it wasn't for sort of the pipe-like structure on top of it, people
Yeah,
could still sort of say like, nah, I don't know, and move on. But the pipe-like structure on top of the dome,
yeah,
that makes it impossible to say like this is some kind of natural feature, right? It looks very strange and very
yeah.
artificial to me.
Yeah, it's actually it's a very good circle too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, and I highly recommend following Art Alien TV and joining up with this community. It's fun, like, and they're not, dogmatic about any of this. They're, saying like, you see this and I see that. The same thing with Mars Anomalies and beyond. These guys are just having fun with it, but they're taking it also very serious, right? These are very serious people. And they do it in their free time as their hobby, but they have been doing it for over 5 years. I think in some cases, well, 10 or 20 years. Art Alien TV has also been on, what is it? History Channel, like countless times. So he's quite a figure in that sense. But I think I had another one. Anyway, maybe to before we sort of move on to the next segment, I do want to play this clip to sort of make it clear that it's really real. And this is from our previous show with Joe McMoneagle. And here he talks sort of about the pictures that he got from JPL. So here we go.
Now, what's really interesting about this particular pyramid, you notice it's sitting on the side of the impact crater. And that's a real trick, because that means the pyramid had to be put there after the impact crater. Because if the impact crater hit after the pyramid was there, it would have destroyed the pyramid.
Now there's one picture there. I got to tell you, it bothers me a lot, and the reason why it's an impact crater, and there's shadow lines around the impact crater. And I asked the guy at JPL, I said, how high do you think the walls are in that impact crater? And he said, probably around 2,500 to 3,000 feet. And I said, wow, well, there's something on the edge of the impact crater couldn't be there then. Because if the impact had actually occurred after it, it would have blown it out of the box.
The other interesting thing about this picture is you can measure the shadow of the crater, and based on the angle of the sun, you can estimate the size of the crater wall as being 3,000 meters tall. That's a 20,000 meter tall pyramid.
That's a pretty so yeah, sorry about the commercials again. But yeah, so that's not a normal feature of the landscape, right? I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
That's so true that if that was placed after it, and then the pyramids or mountain don't appear like that in just one day randomly, and then there is a crater over there which proves that which was like placed after it, so that is clearly a pyramid built next to the crater.
Absolutely.
No other explanation. Like, I don't know, geologists can find something, but again, we can safely say what he was saying, that yeah, it was built after the impact.
Yeah. So we've seen boats, we have seen UFOs, we've seen strange structures, we have seen giants, we have seen
rodents.
rodents. Like we can sort of establish that there was at least something on Mars that was living.
Yeah.
And if you go through, if you follow these people on a regular basis, it goes on and on. They also, talk about the moon and about, Ceres and other planets. Basically everything where NASA takes pictures and they sort of analyze these pictures because they're public in the public sphere. So you can sort of just download them and start looking around what you find. But I also want to highlight something else, and that's I'm gonna use a different feature of Restream, because I think I can now show something. Let's see if I can do that. Wait, how does that work? Anyway, I'm gonna wait. There is a way for me to put something in the screen, but I don't know how. I just did it before, but let's see. I think it's this one. No. Well, anyway, there's a book. There's a book from that I want to show. It's called, maybe you know it too, Project Mars from Werner von Braun. Are you familiar with that book?
No.
Yeah, so I do want to show it. Let's see, how do I do it? I did it before, maybe here. Damn. damn. It should, no, anyway. Let's see how maybe I can do it this way. Oh yeah, okay, wait, I think I can do it this way. Yep. There we go. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the book. You can actually download it for free. I'm gonna try also to get the background back. Okay, doesn't work at the same time. Okay, this is the book. So in the book, so the Werner von Braun is of course the one of the original people who
Nazi.
well, he was basically a Nazi,
Yeah.
and through Operation Paperclip, America brought many Nazi scientists over after they won. And if I'm not completely mistaken, I think Werner von Braun was the first director of NASA.
Yeah, actually, he's a founder of NASA. He actually
Yeah, the
built
founder.
everything for NASA.
Yeah.
He was the first
And-
director, but also the founder. I don't know
And he wr-
officially, but unofficially, he definitely was the founder of it.
And he wrote this book, Project Mars, which is very interesting. And in that book, and that's here on page 177, how Mars is governed. He goes into the society of Mars. And then he says, like, the Martian government was directed by 10 men, the leader of whom was elected by universal suffrage for 5 years and entitled Elon. 2 houses of parliament enacted the laws to be administered by the Elon and his cabinet. And then he goes on. The upper house was called the Council of Elders and was limited to a membership of 60 persons, each being appointed for life by the Elon, as vacancies occurred by death. In principle, the method was not unlike that by which the College of Cardinals of the Roman Catholic Church is appointed. Usually, the Elon chose historians, churchmen, former cabinet members, or successful economic leaders who could offer lifetime experiences. Anyway, so what is really interesting is, if I'm not mistaken, but people can correct me if I'm wrong, I think the book was published after Werner von Braun's death, that it was brought out. And by that time, because that might be on people's minds, Elon Musk was already born.
Even if he was born, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter because it's really strange.
Elon got famous after sailing PayPal, which is after 2000 or something, right? So this book was definitely published before. And just to conclude everything, I think Elon is gonna be Elon, which was mentioned in the book. There is a thing, he's trying to build 1 billion robots per year. You know how easy it will be for him to take over the world if we have an army of 1 billion people, like 1 billion robot, which like follow orders. Whatever he said, they were gonna do it. Like nobody can defeat him. He also already have all the satellites ready. I think he's the Antichrist.
Well, I'm not sure if I would go that far.
I'm just kidding. I'm not saying he's the Antichrist, but I'm saying like if he want to, he can take over the world within few years.
I think Elon is a very complicated figure. I often sort of compare him to a prankster god. Like, he's like the typical prankster figure um, person. Also, the way sort of he plays different sides, right? Because I think not so long ago it was Anonymous who singled out Elon Musk, and they sort of accused him of playing both sides.
Yeah.
And now it was his time to be in their target.
Yeah,
But
also he liked to go and spark civil war
controversy,
everywhere. Like he have no business in England, but he is talking about that wherever he find a way to create an argument. So
mischief.
he want to put people against each other, and when he's ready to take over, everybody will submit to him. That's what he's doing. I was a very big fan of him, but in recent years what he's doing is very suspicious, that he had lost his mind. And then eventually, I think with 1 billion robots per year, it means he have like unlimited army. We don't have like the whole army of the world is not 1 billion.
Yeah,
If you combine all the soldiers everywhere in the world, all the countries, that's not 1 billion. And they are
yeah.
replaceable because he gonna keep building them. Even if we fight and we destroy them, there is no way you're gonna win. He gonna take over the world.
Yeah, my personal take of Elon is a little bit less grim. I see him more like a CC figure, like from Binance, and I think Elon is sort of the American Binance, or sort of the Western Binance, I should say, because he's from South Africa,
Mhm.
and CC is more the Chinese Elon,
I
so to
think he's
speak.
more like a CC of Egypt, the tyrant of Egypt, not CC of finance.
Yeah, but I think both of these people have sort of something in common, right? They got started through their governments, right? They couldn't have come where they are without subsidies and being friends with people in high places. But they both want to sort of cut loose and become their own empire. They want to create their own empires
Yeah.
and cut loose from China and cut loose from America, and that's why they're playing both sides, right? Because the only way to play this game and to be this big is and become and stay independent is actually playing both sides against each other. Otherwise, it's impossible. Otherwise, you have to fold in line and follow orders from the World Economic Forum or whatever. And I do appreciate from X or Twitter that if it wasn't for Twitter, the world would probably already be enslaved. I mean, that is pretty.
Not necessary. I'm telling you, it's very hard. It will be much easier to enslave people by giving them an illusion of freedom than just completely take over them. And I think X is doing that thing, because there are certain things. It looks like we are saying a lot of things, but there are certain things which get
True.
blocked and we don't even
True.
realize. If you're
No,
talking, yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
So this,
No, yeah.
there is like a specific thing when you're trying to create a conflict, you are allowed to do it, but then you're not allowed to touch certain things. And
Yeah.
I think it's all a big illusion.
Now, I'm 100% agree with you, because I know many people in our community who are shadow banned, including ourselves, by the way.
Yeah.
But and some people are way more shadow banned than others, and but I do think he's clearly using people for his own benefit. But I do think he's using them to stay independent. And I think when you sort of look at Elon's companies, he has X, which used to be Twitter. Then he has Neuralink, Starlink, Boring Company, and SpaceX. And I think he has even more companies. But if you look at those five, when you take them together as one company, like X.
Yeah, which makes him a perfect contender for an antichrist.
Well, and also a perfect contender for ruling Mars, right? Because you got the spaceships with SpaceX.
Yeah.
You got Starlink, of course, for communications, also with planet Earth, but also between planets. Then you got the Boring Company, because you're not gonna live on the surface of Mars,
Yeah.
right? you need to you need to create underground cities and underground railway systems, etc. And then you got, of course, also the robots. I forgot the robots. You got the robots. I don't know what the name of that company is, but that's probably
No,
also a
Tesla.
company.
There are Tesla
Oh,
bots.
that's, of course, Tesla. Yeah, yeah. With Figure is from him, right?
Yeah.
The new robot. Yeah, Figure, which is awesome, but also scary as hell. And then you got Neuralink, right? So it's sort of merging man and machine, but also in hospitable places where humans can't live or survive. You would need a Neuralink to sort of do stuff in those
Also to
conditions.
mind control.
Yeah, yeah, and also to enslave, of
Yeah.
course. And X, of course, as communication, but also to create a community that centers around him, right?
Yeah.
Where he is God, basically.
Basically, this is what I'm saying. Like, you're talking about becoming the ruler of Mars. I'm talking about he's planning to become the ruler of Earth first and then expand to Mars. And I don't think after he launched 1 billion robots, it won't be hard for him to take over the world.
Yeah, yeah. Well, who knows?
Also,
Maybe
they're
you're right.
like, if we are fighting human versus human, you can literally fight them, but like they are not even easy to destroy. They're like hard ally. If you've seen
Mhm.
the movie iRobot, it will be
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah,
Either
yeah.
he will lose his mind or AI will lose its own mind, like in the movie iRobot, where the AI
Mm.
which was doing it, spoiler alert, not the Elon of that movie. By the
Yeah.
way, the CEO of US robotics in that movie was very much like Elon, the richest man on earth. Everything was like Elon, and everybody was suspicious on it. It looks very similar. But what I'm saying, it is it is a possibility that he will lose his mind and become the king. And why won't he? If you have all the power in the world, why won't you use it?
Yeah, yeah, that's always the problem,
Yeah.
right? That's the problem with all these things, that they grown too big and too powerful. I think his opponents are also very powerful.
Who are
And
his opponent? No, I don't see any opponent.
well, I think the World Economic Forum is a clear
Nah,
opponent.
they are working together.
No, I don't think so, because if they were working together, we would already be all vaccinated, right? I mean, there was a clear they had their window of opportunity, and there was too much resistance. But the resistance that they got was only through certain networks that were able to, go against the
Yeah,
grain.
but before that, Elon was not there. When the resistance was coming, Elon didn't even own that network. Elon bought it in what, 2020?
Yeah, no, true, true. Yeah, but I mean, I'm not talking about Elon in this case, because you also had Jack Dorsey. I actually have way more respect for Jack
Yeah, I do
uh,
too.
than Elon. If I had to choose between the two, I would go with Jack.
Yeah,
But I would preferably go with no one.
yeah,
But basically, when Twitter was still under Jack, there was also this freedom that spoiled the plans of the World Economic Forum.
yeah.
Because if it wasn't for Twitter back then, things would have been really grim.
Yeah. But we
Yeah,
always find a way. Even before we had any social media back in 70s, 80s, people find a way to rebel. In fact, most
yeah.
rebellion happened before internet. So
Well, but take for example the farmer protest in Europe, which was really big, and got organized in many
everywhere,
different countries.
it's not
Yeah,
just that. In US, Canada, we had like a
yeah, yeah.
truckers.
But in all those cases,
Yeah,
Twitter or X played a critical role. They couldn't have organized any. It would have been impossible.
not impossible, because I'm saying these protests are happening for a very long time and people always find a way to communicate. I think through Twitter is like a controlled uh, protests. Now they have like a control over protests. They can manufacture fake rights. Like recently, what happened in England, it was very manufactured. I could see it from far away to place white against Muslims. At the same time, they are saying that it's against immigration, but then they are pro immigration from India. And India, it was like so manufactured. I could see it from far away, and a lot of people just lost their mind. Okay, you need to be smarter. The whatever is happening is manufactured. You need to be very careful what you're doing.
Yeah, well, the situation in England is pretty bad from, what I gather. But and the reaction from the government is clearly
That's what
insane.
I'm saying. It is very manufactured. Everybody is in on it. I think that was a test, and their test was successful. People are so stupid because I'm saying they try to manufacture it, and people fall in that trap, and then they just lost their emotions and they came out and start fighting each other. Dude,
Yeah.
you both are in the same boat.
Yeah. No. I
You don't
totally. Yeah.
each
Yeah.
other. The
No.
real enemy is bigger.
Yeah. No.
Who's
I totally
controlling both
agree
of
with that.
you?
Yeah. That's the problem, right?
Yeah.
People are being divided,
The
and
only one person who saw it is David Ikes, and he came out and said, like, this is what happening, be careful. Everyone else, including Alex Jones, was into that bullshit. Oh yeah, they are coming and taking over. No man, there is like a pre-planned test, and you guys failed it. Like they control you easily, they mind controlled you, and you didn't even
but
see it.
but can you run us through then sort of what was the test, or what is the?
Just to see how easy to manipulate people and make them come out and fight each other.
Yeah. Okay. You mean the right and
Right, yeah.
movement?
Because before, look, what was happening in England, there was like predominant pro Palestine protest out there. Now, nobody's doing that because everybody is fighting each other. That's how they change the narrative, put people against people. White people and Muslims were together first time in their life, like Christians and Muslims. Again, like they were all on pro Palestine side, and then they suddenly are fighting each other just with one fake news. It all started with a fake news. It wasn't even a real news, because what happened? A black African American, no, not American, African migrant from Rwanda who was Christian killed, stabbed three girls. And then they started a story a Muslim did that. Muslims had nothing to do with that. It was not even from the Middle East. A Rwandan guy who was a Christian did that, and then they spread it. The fake news everywhere. A Muslim did that, a Muslim did that, and then some Christian rebel, like, why did you attack our girls? And then they start attacking mosques, and then in retaliation Muslim attack, and they start fighting each other for no reason. It was so manufactured. I'm not in England, so I'm looking as a neutral person. I'm looking at it like, yeah, they started a fake narrative, people are falling for it, and then they start fighting each other because our clan mentality is so stupid that we stop thinking what's happening to us. At that time we are so emotional, we go and start fighting. It is an age old story of humanity. Just put people against people, like India and
Yeah.
Pakistan. These two countries, same people, but they're fighting for no reason. Like there are some reasons, but I'm just saying they don't have to fight, but just spark something and people start fighting because you have this group mentality. And that was their test to, and not just a test, that was their experiment to do multiple things, like to fall people in line. And then they are introducing new laws where if you post something or retweet something on Twitter, you can go to jail for years or months.
Yeah.
So they are introducing that draconian laws and everything. So I think that was a huge success for anime. And like people need to understand, you have to be very smart. You're being manipulated here.
Yeah.
Also be
Yeah.
very
No.
careful what you retweet, even
Yeah.
retweet at this time. So not just do it,
Yeah.
but retweet. It's crazy. Like what are these
Yeah.
crazy laws?
Yeah, no, I agree absolutely with that. We have to stay united. Only the problem is, of course, we've been divided for so long. I mean, for over 30 years now. In some cases, much
Oh
longer.
no, centuries.
Um, yeah, in some cases, centuries.
Yeah.
So this is very difficult for people to set aside their differences, and there deliberately destabilizing countries,
Yeah.
right? In all kinds of ways. Economically, they're destabilizing communities and people, and of course, like boundless migration is not going to work because
No,
there's simply
immigration
no
need to
money.
stop. They need to stop
Yeah,
immigration at all.
yeah,
Like this is not
yeah,
healthy for anyone. But the
no,
problem is you cannot stop immigration until you stop bombing those countries or
yeah,
controlling
yeah,
those countries where the people are coming from. It's a spiral. We need to figure out a way to leave these people and develop these people on their own, so don't
yeah.
interfere in their countries so they can stop immigrating. But immigration itself is a problem. we need to we need to be very smart, otherwise all these people will come here and then there will be gangs like an immigrant
Yeah.
gang and like a native gang, and then they are fighting. That's
Well, the gangs are already there, and
they
they're
are,
a big
but
problem.
like they will keep growing, right? There will be a mentality, okay, these are our people and that's our enemy, but eventually
Yeah.
no one is enemy. They are trying to create that.
Yeah, I think it's very important that people focus on the economy and what's happening there,
Yeah,
and who's responsible for.
and stop wars at all costs, because
Yeah,
until
yeah,
you keep fighting there will be immigrants who will coming, because like nobody, for them, yeah, they're being bombed in,
yeah,
not just in Middle East, in Africa too. There
yeah,
is like a shadow war going on between West and East. Like Chinese are supporting their own proxies over there. Americans are supporting their proxies. They are fighting. People are being massacred in those countries, and then they try to run, and then they come to Europe, and then
yep,
they will create a scenario over here where people start fighting. It will be a terrible thing. Everybody need to stand up, and we need to find the right politicians who can
true,
work on
true.
that. But this is not, again, the problem in US is all the people who were independent, they were defeated out because the opponents, they use millions of dollars to put out, like Cory Bush and Bowman, those guys. They've You can disagree with their politics, but they were independent people. They always stayed with their conscience. Yeah, their politics is like very progressive, but they were independent people, so they flushed them out. The only people who are staying is like AOC, from left, who actually given, who submitted to their lords of Democratic Party. But those who were real independent people, they were flushed out because they were not controllable. So again, it's a big game going on. Unless we wake up, human on individual level, we will not win. We will be slave. We will stay slave, like in their slavery. So just wake up, see what's happening, be smart, don't let hate control your mind.
Yeah, divide and conquer.
Divide and conquer.
Yeah, and with that, we should end the show because
It's very long.
this is actually a pre-recording, and we should actually be airing right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun, and I hope that people will check out Art Alien TV and Mars Anomalies. Also, the documentaries from Ramsey are really cool. We'll probably circle around to Mars in the future because there's way more to talk about. But this is sort of to give you a glimpse about the crazy stuff on Mars.
Yeah.
To get involved. And not something is pareidolia. Some things are trick of the eye, trick of the mind, and of course, some people are just full of it,
Mm.
right? So you have to be careful also of that. But yeah, have fun with it. It's fun to look at those pictures because it's an alien landscape and there's really crazy stuff on it.
All right, guys, take care. Bye.
Take care and see you soon.